Welcome to SITE Türkiye Talks. It's a brand new podcast series by SITE Türkiye chapter. So here, every month, we will have a different guest and a different moderator. And we will talk about the industry trends, tell some stories, and hopefully have some fun along the way. Today, personally, I feel very lucky because I am now sitting with two amazing people. Our first guest is Mr. Hasan Dinç, President of SITE Global and Managing Director of ODS Turkey. And our second guest is Ms. Feyhan Kapralı, President of SITE Türkiye Chapter and Managing Director of SITE Tourism. Mr. Hasan Dinç and Ms. Feyhan Kapralı, thank you for being here and welcome to SITE Türkiye Talks.
Well, thank you, Cem. First of all, it's not Mr., it's Hasan.
Okay.
So go along that way. Mr. most probably was my grandfather, as I was named after grandfather, but definitely it's not me. Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's a great. We are proud to be in the first to be part of the first podcast of SITE Turkey, and I don't feel like a guest. I feel honored to be part of your wonderful new initiation of the wonderful new board under the presidency of SITE Turkey chapter, Feyhan.
Well, thank you, Cem, as well, and Hasan joining us. I'm also very happy to be part of this first episode that we're starting at SITE Turkey. I hope it will be fruitful. I hope that it will be successful, and I hope that you will follow us and listen to us.
So let's get into the topic with a Turkish word that we are very familiar of, Hallederiz. In English, hallederiz means we will figure it out. So is for Turkish people, I think is not only a phrase or a word for us. I think that word explains how we deal the businesses in Turkey, because basically we figure it out and we can adapt many different circumstances.
Actually, it has a different saying as well, because it sounds for us when a Turk says hallederiz is like, no worries, we take care of it. There's no worries, it will be taken care of.
Yeah, actually, sorry?
Go ahead, yeah.
So actually, it's another synonym of maybe don't worry, we will figure it out, like Mr. Hasan, not Mr. like Hasan said. Hasan, I have a question for you. Maybe you have a story like a we will figure it out moment.
Well, first of all, I hate that figure out, no worries attitude, hallederiz attitude. And in our business, it's from A to Z planning. But I have an interesting story from ages ago. Most probably you were not born yet, but in the past, Feyhan definitely remembers, we were doing a lot of events in the St. Irene Church in the grounds of the Topkapı Palace. Having said that, we were granted the permission, you were applying to the ministry and you getting the permission. But due to this, some certain other unexpected happenings, our permission was cancelled one day before the event. So, and we were obliged, and we couldn't share that with the client directly. We were trying to find a solution. So we ended up, one of us in Ankara and I in the Topkapı Palace with the Topkapı Palace GM and talking about it to get our permission and get our trucks in. Cut long story short, the permission was granted only at 6-7 hours before the event itself. So we managed to get everything inside and we made the setup and everything went perfectly well, on time, because of the flexibility, because of hallederiz attitude actually. But everything was planned, and catering company, the reliable partners, like there was a strong catering site, they included a lot of other stuff at the final moment. The AV is the same and so on. But when the client arrived, checked before the arrival, she said, April, St. Irene Church, you have to, it's cold here, you have to heat it. But on those doors, we don't have those mushroom heaters. There's nothing, and the ceiling of St. Irene Church is more than 18 meters. And you cannot do anything. It's also, of course, during the Bayram period. So, again, to cut a very, very long story short, I convinced a person who was producing those broiler heaters. So he's the owner of the factory, and I motivated him so much that he ended up coming by himself, bringing it by himself, and installing by himself. Excellent. Catering tables are set. Even the breads are already on the served, and the waters are filled. He started the broilers, but with the broilers starting, amazing steam and brown, dark thing was spurted out from the broilers. So whole tables ended up being totally dark, brown, So nothing could be used again. That was a moment where I really, literally collapsed on the floor and I said, what can I do? That was a moment when the catering chef came over. Hasan abi, no worries, hallederiz. But please delay the departure for the buses only by half an hour. And we did that. And he literally set up the entire table and cleaned the whole place with all the other suppliers. And we managed and we were on time. So I think that's a good story for
It's an amazing
Hallederiz.
story.
Yes, that's a great story,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of as well.
We have a lot, but the one that I actually also agree with you, though, Hallederiz, inshallah, it is very common in our area in the region, which means that God is winning, but we know the Turkish people that it's sort of like, it's not something that you really depend on. That's used a lot, but of course in our industry there are always surprises. No matter what we do, what meticulous planning we do, there might be surprises. So this attitude of no worries, hallederiz, that comes from our nature in Turkey, is very useful when it comes to that stage. My story is not very complex. We had this beautiful, I think it was a French group that we had in Istanbul, and they had a blue cruise, a cruise on the Bosphorus. It was a high-end event, a luxurious boat, and there was going to be some champagne celebration at one point. And the client was going to be organizing the champagne. While we were cruising very nicely and peacefully, they realized that we had no champagne on board. The client forgot about ordering the champagne.
Not ordering, not bringing.
Bringing and
Yeah,
ordering,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Not ordering, no.
Yeah, but bringing,
No, they were going to bring it.
They were in charge of the champagne.
Exactly, because I don't know I don't remember where it was coming from, maybe from France. But
typical French,
yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So, panic. It was not an option, for that group not to have champagne. So, that's where Hallederiz attitude comes in. We have this person who we buy all these import drinks. We called him. We got the champagne, and then we hired a speedboat because we were cruising. And with that boat, we brought all the champagne in. It was almost like a James Bond movie with the speedboat coming. Maybe the client thought that it was on purpose, I don't know. But anyway, we had the champagne. Turkey is about, no worries, hallederiz. We go beyond our means to make things meet. Although we work with very good and capable suppliers, we also know that there is a sort of like a Mediterranean mindset, which is, again, comes very handy with hallederiz sort of attitude, no worries sort of attitude. So a good DMC, an experienced DMC, is the coordinator and the one who knows what can be done versus what is promised. And that's where we come in and make things happen.
Well, but that helps a lot. The sector is so volatile that our flexibility, I would call it flexibility,
yes,
helps a lot. I mean,
yes.
That last, and I'm sure you need to stress out that this happened in a couple of minutes. The order of the champagne was done in a couple of minutes. Somebody's rushing, getting the champagne, speedboat is arranged, and all is done in 15 minutes, not in a 6 hours time.
No, it's also, maybe you agree with me, Hasan, at that point, the Turkish DMCs or the Turkish people do not really go ask for the costs or the payments or that sort of thing. We do it automatically.
Oh, yes. I mean, we don't care
It's
that.
very natural for us to make things happen.
So, to address you properly, in our case, the positive side of Hallederiz is a positive reflex in our event management side in Turkey.
But it might be very negative if you do not have a person, an in-between person, between, I guess, with the traditionalism of a destination and maybe the modernity or the expectations of the client. And I think that's where we come in.
Yeah,
we have to give credit
ourselves
to
some credit. Yes, true. You're right. We have to do that. Yes, you have to have a crazy DMC on the ground, and we have a lot of them. And
yes, exactly.
Our flexible reflex helps us, even though when you plan from A to Z, everything.
Yeah,
I totally agree, but I'm a bit curious. Where does this reflex come from?
That's the nature of our unexpected happenings.
Yes.
We face so many different big crises left and right during operation, before operations, that we are always alerted. I mean, that's a reaction always. And it comes as a nature. And also, especially in cities like Istanbul, where everything is a kind of a challenge. In Switzerland, it's easy when you're in Geneva to go from A to B. Here, we need to plan it from A to Z.
Even from going home to the office, you need to make a plan A, plan B, and plan
exactly.
C.
So I think it's in our nature in that respect. But we manage as proper DMCs, as Feyhan said, to use it in our advantage.
We live through that, as you know, in Turkey or in areas, places like that. But that's what is the beauty of Istanbul and Turkey, the vibrant part of the destination.
Yeah. It's never boring.
Never.
Never boring.
Okay, so we hallederiz everything, but let's be honest. Sometimes our clients really test our capabilities. So,
Not
Miss,
sometimes, most of the time.
most of the times. So, Miss Feyhan, what is the craziest thing that your client asked you to do?
We had quite a few, but the one that I remember quite vividly, but that was years ago when actually incentives were opening. It was in the initial stage, I would say, and this clientele that was coming from country that was opening up its doors first in the beginning. So they were very excited about these incentive meetings, so they wanted to everything. So this time the complexity was like, putting everything together. What they requested it was in a nice palace in Istanbul by the Bosphorus, Janissary band, the Ottoman band, sumo wrestlers. I don't know if you would know that, but that was very popular at that time for picnic lunches.
It's very Turkish as well.
Very Turkish. Yeah. These were like, these plastic big guys that do wrestling.
Yeah. Putting on the dress, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But that was usually something like, for a daytime picnic activity for kids, but they wanted to do that. Fire eaters, as we call them, which was sort of like a circus thing. What else? A very well-known Turkish jazz pianist performance.
All at the same time?
At the same time.
Okay.
An orchestra, belly dancers, some folklore dances. I think that was about it. Whatever we proposed, probably they wanted to be included in the dinner, the gala dinner. And
so you gave them a lot of alternatives, but
we
they
did,
combined
but it
them
was
all
actually,
together.
The sumo was not something that we would probably give for a gala event, but that they have seen on our presentations, maybe for a daytime act. So they want everything on that nice, elegant palace. And they came to us and said, can you please do the flow of the night? And we were like, what? This is not it. But of course you try to make things happen. We sort of started with the cocktail with a little bit like, activities, circus or whatever animated part. And then we moved on to the composer and the orchestra and finished up with the ceremony.
Well, you were not really happy with the outcome, I guess, but they were happy, I guess.
They were very happy. They
So
enjoyed themselves.
That's what counts.
We were not, of course, you always try to tell that, this doesn't go, this doesn't work. I mean, this is not the style that we wanted to do. And you try to find an in-between solution, yes. But in the beginning, the team was like, what is this? How can we do like an hour by hour plan of this? 15 minutes of this, 15 minutes of this, because it doesn't really work together, all this.
There's no harmony in it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And also sometimes, like, of course, it was not the case, but sometimes if you bring in somebody like a classical jazz composer and a pianist, he also would like to see where he's going to be performing, or to which audience and in which context.
Was it after the sumos or before the sumos?
It was after the sumos. When they were gone, we invited him to come. Also, fortunately, it was at that time my brother-in-law.
Okay.
So, yes.
Then it worked out.
So I was like, but I was a bit shy, but I said, this is going to be a night like this, so just
Very interesting
keep quiet.
Well, that was not the reason for the divorce, I hope.
No, it was not.
So Hasan, I think you have also very interesting stories as well.
Both of us can share a whole evening here, a lot of stories. Particular fun ones and interesting ones was we were trying to become a co-PCO of a family therapy association. Mm-hmm. And did the first meeting in Istanbul. And the association, the committee itself asked for a 1001 themed gala, as usual. Mm-hmm. And of course, the belly dancers are part of it. So we suggested everything, including the belly dancers. And by that time, we had those mezdekes, 3 of them, 3 girls dancing synchronized together. It's the modernized version of belly dancing. But they didn't take in consideration their very own audience. One family stood up, one professor stood up, and started to scream in the gala that we are objecting women as sex objects. And he was about to influence everybody. So the head of the chair comes to me and said, Hasan, we have to do something. The girl is on stage. What can I do? I mean, go and grab her? You know what I did? We had those curtain decorations. So I grabbed part of the decoration, went on stage, wrapped her nicely, and she continued performing. So that's how we solved the problem.
This is also a very hallederiz moment.
That was more like oh my God, I managed moment. So, but it went flawless. The guy sat down, and so everything was calm. And that was the reaction in 1 minute. But I saw the decoration, and I cannot go and approach somebody performing, 3 of them at the same time. So I grabbed the thing, wrapped them, and it looked nice on them as well. So sometimes God helps you, or whatever you believe in.
And you can be very creative in those moments.
And it worked out. Yeah, so sometimes our role is to protect our clients from their very own clients.
Well, we also used to receive, and we still receive some requests about, how would I say that, something that we're a bit sensitive culturally. One of them is asking to have cocktail receptions in the courtyard of Blue Mosque. Blue Mosque is a mosque, that's where the Muslims go and pray. And that's actually is a public place, but it's a big no for the Islamic world, the Muslim world, to have alcohol nearby the mosque, not even in the gardens of the mosque.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and also for some reason, I don't know, the calls for prayers, we have them 5 times a day, and it's like a chant. And I think, non-Turkish people think that it's very romantic and it's very beautiful, and it could be, depending on who is the imam. Exactly, it could be very nice. So we also receive these requests of having a toast, a champagne toast, during calls for prayers from time to time. So, of course, we don't even say no immediately, but we just try to explain the sensitivities, our sensitivities and traditions from our part, and try to find an in-between solution.
Well, that's a very interesting topic, actually, because Turkey is a secular country.
Yes.
Religion and state affairs are totally separated. However, there's also respect to every single belief.
Exactly.
So, and that would be an insult, and I'm sure you managed really well there.
Yes, I mean, we didn't do it.
No.
Basically,
Well,
I said, if you want me in jail, okay, I can do it on the gardens of Blue Mosque. But immediately, I'm sure I will be taken to the court.
Well, one more funny story, maybe. Again, similar to your first story. Was having a 600 people event in Antalya in one of those resort hotels, and they insisted on having the gala on the pool. Fine, great setup, and so on. But they also insisted on having synchronized swimmers. But the tables are totally spread out, and the pool is huge. So nobody really will be able to see what they are performing. I suggested, of course, all the alternatives, layering up the tables and so on. But as usual, the budget restrictions and so on. They said no, but insisted on the synchronized swimmers. And that was, again, one of your samples. You didn't mention the country's name, but similar countries' origin. And you have 25 project managers from the house on the ground. And every table is VIP table. So every second table is a VIP table. So every one of them is reaching me and saying, Hasan, the synchronized swimmer has to swim there. And then I push the girls, point them out, and they go swim there. And then they're performing in front of that table. And then the other one is calling from the other side. So the girls, poor girls, are swimming to the other side, smiling. And they were totally exhausted at the final end. But somehow they liked it.
Very funny, interesting stories.
Exactly.
Both of you have maybe more than 20 years of experience in this industry, and I cannot imagine how many events you organize during this 20 years. I'm curious, what was the moment that you felt very emotional or emotionally touched during the event that you organized?
There are a couple of ones, but I remember one clearly. It was, I think, in the 90s, and we worked with the Australian market as well, and we had this group going to Gallipoli. At that time, there was one cruise ship that Turkey had, one and only. It no longer exists, so we chartered that cruise ship to go to Gallipoli. It was not very common to go to that area by cruise ships in the 90s as well. And we had our group on the cruise ship, and we cruised through Marmara Sea to Çanakkale, to Dardanelles. We had our dinner, drinks, and everything. maybe like a 1001 Nights theme, I think, in that night. And everybody went to sleep. We were about to arrive around 2 a.m. to Gallipoli because the Anzac ceremony starts very early. It's dawn service, and we have to go to the site around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. But we were very happy. For the first time in our lives, we would be just, docking into the pier. So I was around, I wasn't sleeping. We came to the port, and immediately I saw all these Turkish people with their carnations. Apparently, the mayor announced that there would be a group of Australians coming to Gallipoli on this cruise ship. So everybody came to greet them with the flowers.
Oh, that's so
and,
nice.
And the people were sleeping, and I was
spontaneous, right?
It was
That was not
spontaneous.
planned.
Nothing planned. No, I had no idea.
Oh, that's
And
so
even the
emotional
company
as well.
didn't know. So everybody was sleeping. So I said, come on, guys. I woke everyone up.
Of course.
They came and they saw them. And we asked a delegation to come and meet us, the group, and they said they came, and they were so happy. And the group was very touched. I was touched, and that actually was so much the spirit of the Anzacs and the Gallipoli, the togetherness of two nations, because that's what Gallipoli is about. It's a victory for Turkish people. It's the first outside of Australia battle for the Australians, all these young Australians and New Zealanders, all these young people coming here. And we have this very famous saying of Atatürk, calling the mothers to the mothers of Australians and New Zealanders, saying that your sons are with us now in our land, don't worry about them. So that actually just reflected that spirit, and that was one moment that I would not forget, because it was also very unexpected, surprise, spontaneous, showed the warmth of my people, the Turkish people, and everything all together.
A very proud and emotional moment.
Hassan, do you have any?
Well, that's such a nice story.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can share, but one of my very strong emotions that I felt